Trails in the Sky FC is the beginning of the long-running Trails series. You play as Estelle Bright and her adopted brother Joshua on their journey as junior bracers while searching for clues on the disappearance of an airship. Trails in the Sky was originally released in Japan on PC in 2004. It was later ported over to the PSP, PlayStation 3, and Vita. It is, unfortunately, only available on PC and PSP in North America. The Trails series is something that I had been wanting to get into for a while, but I really wanted to start at Sky, so even though I know I could have started at Cold Steel, I waited until I had enough for a PC so that I was able to play the Sky trilogy, and I'm really glad that I did. I feel like if I didn't start at Sky, the rest of the games wouldn't have impacted me as much as they have. Would I suggest to start at Sky? Yes. Do you have to? No. Now, would I like you to start at Sky? Obviously, I would love that. But I do understand that they are the least accessible out of all the Trails games right now. So if you don't start there, don't feel bad. A lot of people I know say this game is boring and a slow burn, but honestly, for me, it didn't feel that bad. I felt like everything flowed very organically, and I felt like the introductions to all the characters were great, getting to know them, and seeing where they fit in the story was done so well. At the end of the prologue and every chapter after, I had more questions than answers, and I just wanted to keep going and see what happened next. The game kept me invested the whole time. And I'm not saying that games with a lot of dialogue and world building can't be slow or boring. I just think it's funny that there are other games that have just as much dialogue and world building that are not known for it like Trails is. And honestly, it's probably because this series has like 100 games in it, but I digress. With all that being said, if you're not a fan of games like that, it's probably not gonna be for you, unless it's an exception. And don't let anybody give you a hard time about not being able to get into these games because of all that. I have a lot of friends that just watch me play them. They're like, I don't have the attention span to play these games. The next thing I want to talk about is the combat. Not gonna lie, it kind of felt very simple to me, but I was also very confused at the same time. You have all these new words thrown at you like orbment, sepith, and quartz. I honestly don't know who's gonna agree with me and be like, yeah, I was confused at first too, or who's gonna be like, you're an idiot. So I'm just gonna break it down for you guys really quick, and maybe you'll see where my confusion came in. Each character has their own orbment device, which is where you equip your quartz. The quartz you equip are going to determine the type of abilities that you have, or arts, if you will. Each character has 6 slots that you can use to equip your quartz, which allows you to have several different builds. You can constantly switch out whatever quartz you want to use as well, so if you get tired of one build for a character, you can switch it up and do something else. Now, here's the part that really confused me. Depending on the quartz that you use, there are different elements attached to them. Earth, which focuses more on defense. Your water-based elements focus on healing. Fire, which is more offense-based, and that's just the basics. So depending on the combinations you put together, determine the arts that you're gonna get. And you really have to pay attention to the elements that you're putting together because that really makes a difference whenever you're trying to get the stronger arts. And I honestly didn't realize how important that was. I thought each quartz had a specific art attached to it. I was mostly just looking at the stat upgrades that it was giving me. I should have paid more attention, but my first playthrough was on normal and it didn't really get that hard until the end of the game for me, so I didn't really feel the need to strategize and use my arts as much. I also didn't want to wait my turn, and that's a big thing when using arts. Sometimes you'll go the next turn, sometimes you have to wait like 5 or 10, but that's something I'll talk about later. Now, sepith. Sepith is used a lot like money. You use the sepith that you have to unlock more of your slots in your orbment, so that you can equip more quartz. You can also use your Sepith to buy more quartz. Just keep in mind if you want to buy, let's say, a water-based quartz, you need to make sure that you have enough water-based Sepith so you can buy that quartz. You can easily get more Sepith by just grinding enemies, and there's also a chart that shows you what type of Sepith the enemies drop, so it gives you a better idea of what you need to fight. Sepith can also be exchanged for money, so if you run out of money but have plenty of Sepith, you can always exchange it so you can buy items or weapons or whatever else you need. So you know how I said I don't like waiting to use my arts? Well, there is an advantage to it. During battle, you'll have buffs and status ailments that appear during turns, and you can manipulate the turn order in your favor. For example, you see that exclamation mark? That means a critical hit, and I don't want the enemy to hit me with that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Estelle use an art so I can heal one of my party members, which will also push Shara down enough so that she does the critical hit instead of the monster. Now, it's not always gonna work in your favor like that, but I'll be honest, I'm not really too sure how it decides that. It probably has something to do with your stats or the level of the quartz that you're using. Don't quote me on that though. So finally, your arts are your magic and your crafts are your special abilities. Your crafts will help you do things like keep an enemy from casting, attack delays, and your crafts are using your CP. Now, if your CP gets full to 100 or anything over that, you can use a super craft, which is your super move. Be careful though if you're doing battles in turbo mode, because whenever you use Joshua's, there's a glitch and his attack never hits. It's only him though, I don't know why, but the others work fine. One more thing to do with battles, if you're struggling at all and just want to get through the story, there's a setting you can turn on to make battles easier when you retry. My dumbass didn't know this at first, so I just kept reloading my save when I lost so it didn't lower the difficulty. For anyone wondering, it's this setting right here. One thing about this game though is the dungeons were not that memorable to me. I don't even remember what the last dungeon was, and I just beat it recently. The towns, on the other hand, I remember very well. I feel like that's because most of the crazy story beats that happen are in the towns. Now, a few things I love and hate about the game. I love the music. Falcom games never disappoint when it comes to their soundtracks for me. It really captures the essence of the game. One of my favorite things is vibing to the jazzy battle music and then being on the verge of death and the music just changes dramatically, telling me to stop dancing and get my shit together. I just don't see a lot of games do that, and I really like it. I really enjoyed doing all the side quests in this game, and I love how they're incorporated into the world. You're a bracer in training, so every major city you visit has a guild hub with a bulletin board that has requests from people you have to fulfill. In doing so, you get bracer points, and that upgrades your bracer status, and also gives you bonuses like accessories, quartz, and things like that. I feel like it's a cool reward that just makes me feel immersed in the story, while also making me want to complete all the quests so I can prove myself as a bracer. Another thing I love about this game is the atmosphere. It feels very cozy and nostalgic to me. Even though I didn't play it until a couple years ago, it brings me back to a time whenever I used to play video games with my sisters in my parents' basement. It's such a mood lifter and a comfort game to me now. I really love the cast, especially Estelle, Joshua, and Agate. Agate's definitely my favorite though. I love how he almost always has an attitude, and I love the way him and Estelle interact with each other. They just go back and forth. It kills me, and it feels like the real brother and sister dynamic in the game. Speaking of siblings, this is gonna get into spoiler territory, so if you don't want to hear it, just skip ahead to around 9:40. I love Estelle and Joshua as a couple. I think they're so cute, but can we stop having characters treat each other like brother and sister and then turn around and turn them into a couple? I get it. Estelle only saw him as a brother and Joshua likes her, but then everyone teasing and then her being like, actually, yeah, I think I like him. I get it. Shit happens. But man, I hate this trope so much. And I feel like they're gonna do it with Agate and Tita at some point, and that will be when I throw this series in the trash. It will not be for me anymore. I will hit the road. Overall, I think this game is really good, especially playing it through my second time after going through the other Trails games. It's one of the more laid back ones and definitely not as exciting as some of the others, but I do think it's worth playing if you want to get into the series. At the end of the day, I just hope that if you do decide to play it, that you enjoy it. And if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts on Trails in the Sky.